Welcome to Have I Got News for You? I'm Alexander Armstrong. In the news this week, at daybreak in Marbella, after a night of passion with a local waitress, one guilty husband races to get home before his wife wakes up. As his tenure as Justice Secretary gets underway, there are safety concerns over Dominic Raab's alternative to the ankle tag.
The buzz is a warner, and then he'll give you a shock.
And after his sacking for incompetence last month, Gavin Williamson is spotted doing some casual labour in the Caribbean. On Ian's team tonight is a comedian who's done 5 frontline tours entertaining the troops in Afghanistan, though I'm guessing he's cancelled this year's Kabul Christmas special. Please welcome Geoff Norcott.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you.
On Paul's team tonight is a journalist who has presented the news at 6, news at 10, weekend news, world news and world news today. Seems busy. Hope she's had time to keep up with the news. Please welcome Mishal Husain. Well, we begin with the bigger news stories of the week. Paul and Mishal.
Yes.
Take a look at this.
Oh, Northern Ireland protocol. The sausages should start flowing again because the EU's made an offer that should end the sausage wars. It should also help things like the supply of medicines, but we all know that sausages are far more important, obviously.
Yes. Who's not happy with the Northern Ireland protocol?
You don't look happy.
No. Is it Billy Bremner? Former Leeds United captain.
No, not on this occasion. Not Lord Frost.
Lord Frost is right to be unhappy, because this Northern Ireland protocol was negotiated by some idiot called Lord Frost. And he's now got to sort it out. So thank goodness he's there, because otherwise we'd have this hopeless deal that was negotiated by him. But sausages are the main thing.
Yes.
Cumberland sausages.
Yeah. Why particularly sausages?
Because they're chilled meats.
They are chilled meats. The EU has very strict rules on health, safety and animal welfare. They're constantly stopping and checking chilled meat imports, mince, sausages, all of that as they arrive. Because according to Reuters, they want to prevent the British sausage entering through the back door.
But that was illegal in Northern Ireland until quite recently.
What's been the consequence of this renewed sausage vigilance?
Checks on the border, which, again, was something that were always thought to be a problem at the time, but the government told us not to worry about, but it turns out they are a problem. Who knew?
Do you know what a sausage has to be in order to be a sausage?
Yeah, it has to come from a pig.
They have to contain 32% meat. Or if it's a pork sausage, 42% meat. Different rules for pork.
If it's down my local calf, 14% meat.
Shall we play
Yeah, I
a
didn't know
fun
what it
game
is, but I'll play it.
Not in my sausage?
Not in my sausage.
Not in my sausage. I will give you a list of items which may or may not count as meat in a British sausage. You have to tell me which items are not allowed. OK.
OK.
Sausages on buzzers.
Yeah.
Allowed or not allowed? Teeth. Paul.
Allowed.
Allowed, yes.
Yeah,
teeth.
because otherwise
As meat.
you wouldn't be able to eat them.
Feet. Yes, Ian.
Yes, definitely allowed.
Not allowed. No.
Not allowed. Don't be ridiculous. The sausages run away. And start biting people individually. No good.
Eyeball. Yes, Geoff.
I hope so.
Yes, they're allowed. Eyeballs are allowed. Lungs. Mishal.
I think almost certainly allowed.
Not allowed.
Ooh.
Rectum.
Beg your pardon?
Rectum.
That's a town in North Wales.
Allowed or not allowed?
Not allowed.
Not allowed, no.
Not allowed.
Quite right. Rectum, not allowed.
Not allowed. Of course it's not.
What do you think about intestines?
What do I think about intestines?
Yeah.
I think they're overrated. What do you think what do I think about intestines? Is this a new game show that you're trying to plug?
Trying hard, yeah.
Skinless.
Curiously, intestines are not allowed in the sausage.
You know, the worst thing about this is none of this information has put me off sausages.
No.
I'm still thinking I'd still really like a sausage.
Yeah.
Where is Christmas currently stuck?
Felixstowe.
Felixstowe.
Absolutely right. Yes, it is full. There are not enough drivers to take the containers away. There they all are. Who won't be helping out with the HGV?
Billy Bremner.
He won't.
Keir Starmer, who had a go at driving an HGV not very successfully.
That's right. His HGV PR stunt he took part in this week went slightly wrong. Here is Keir Starmer reversing a lorry.
And then when that lines up...
From that angle, so you'd have failed your test.
I think he's an all right bloke. I think he's a decent bloke, but he's just... he seems like the first bloke that your mum dates after she gets divorced. Do you know what I mean? You're at a family do. You're all in the room going, you know what? He makes her happy. He treats her well. Yes, he's a bit of a melt, but, you know, let's just stick by him while she rebuilds her self-esteem.
What did Keir Starmer let slip this week? We learnt something about him.
The dogs of war.
Special case. So he was at a cereal factory and they said, your name's Keir, and he went, yes, special Keir cat, and he fumbled the joke completely while simultaneously comparing himself to no one's favourite cereal.
He basically admitted that his nickname is Special K. And it has been pointed out subsequently that Special K is a nickname for ketamine.
Yeah.
Tranquiliser that put horses to sleep. I mean, Keir Starmer works on humans too. In other news, what else will we be short of, according to the scaremongers?
Toys.
Absolutely right. Yes. What's wrong with pants?
What, no pants?
No, cotton prices are at a 10-year high thanks to a shortage because of bad weather. Wiped out the American cotton crops. So pants.
Yes, but that won't affect the pants that we already have.
No, that's true.
I mean, we're not going to live in a world without pants.
So I should have said new pants.
Yeah, you should have said new pants.
New pants.
But you didn't, did you?
I didn't, no. Finally, they asked a local expert on the news what to do if there aren't any turkey this...
Turkus.
That as well.
No, turkey.
What's that, a cross between a turkey and a circus?
I'd go.
I wouldn't.
Here's our local expert. Here he is.
If there are no turkeys, you always get a big chicken.
There you are. This is the latest row with the EU and supply shortages. With the government failing to get a grip on shortages, the Grocer magazine reported 1 in 3 shoppers have already started to stock up on Christmas food. In fact, the nation's fridges are so full, there isn't even one for Boris to hide in. Meanwhile, at an HGV testing centre, Keir Starmer reversed a truck and crashed it into a brightly coloured bollard. To be fair, he thought he'd spotted Angela Rayner in the rearview mirror. Also this week, President Macron is leading a push for French to replace English as the dominant language of the European Union, with one official stating, no longer should our institutions be imbued with Anglo-Saxon culture. What is the French for, oh, fuck off? Ian and Geoff, take a look at this.
That's the Select Committee report. That's Jeremy Hunt. He used to be Health Secretary. Now he criticises the government's health policy. Here are the experts. Professor Van Tam, Professor Whitty.
He could have left the door open for him, couldn't he?
Oh, there's another expert on health issues.
Getting injected with charisma there.
Well, the Select Committee was asked to look into the handling of COVID, and their response was that it was probably, I don't know, not very good. No, they actually said it was the worst public health crisis in British history.
That's right.
So the government's COVID response is up there with the Black Death. I'm not exaggerating. I'm trying to be balanced.
So what did the report find? It concluded we didn't lock down quickly enough, we didn't protect the elderly in care homes, we didn't close borders quickly enough,
No.
and we were wrong to pursue herd immunity. I mean, Gavin Williamson would call that an A-star performance. The report was severely critical of the £38 billion test and trace system, calling it slow, uncertain, and often chaotic. Dido Harding was unavailable for comment. I say unavailable, no one could could track her down.
The report did say as well that we should have challenged the science before.
Well, that's right.
Because I thought the science was like this one thing that everyone
Yeah.
agreed with. Turns out there are lots of sciences and they don't always agree. But I would say that the British public, we challenge the science a lot. I mean, on my family WhatsApp group, everyone was virologist, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, I mean, we all know who Stephen Barclay is, don't we? Steve Barclay, here he is.
He looks like Alan Pardew.
Yeah, I was going to say that. You sure that's not Alan?
Near enough, near enough. He's replaced Michael Gove as the Chancellor of the Duchy of Lancaster.
You sure that's not Alan
That
Pardew?
is Alan Pardew.
It's a bit like Steve Barclay.
Oh, right. Sorry.
It'll do.
Oh, is that the joke?
Will it-
Is there a joke in this?
Yeah, it was a joke. Yeah,
Oh.
Was it?
yeah, it was a joke. Yeah,
Well, you've baffled me, I tell you that.
it was a joke.
So explain the joke to me exactly.
Well, it's because nobody knows what Steve Barclay looks like. We thought it'd be quite funny if we put someone up who looks a bit like him.
Well, can you show us a picture of Steve so that we can make a comparison?
Yeah, we should. Yeah, we could do it.
Who is that?
Alan Pardew used to be manager of Crystal... Was it Crystal Palace? amongst others?
Charlton.
Charlton.
Yeah.
Well, that makes it clear.
You see, there was a really disgruntled bloke over there that went, West Ham. They always leave out the hammers, don't they?
Steve Barclay was grilled about the report, refused to apologise. In fact, more than 10 times he refused to apologise for the government mistakes that led, as he was reminded, to the loss of thousands of lives. What did Barclay... here he is.
Well, I'm totally confused now.
It's the former manager of Bournemouth.
It's going very well, this joke. With the, what else did Barclay admit to not doing?
Not resembling Alan Pardew in any way.
He admitted to Sky News that he had actually not read the 151-page COVID report. He's still only halfway through the new Sally Rooney. Oh, who'd like to see Jeremy Hunt with the hair of German football legend Franz Beckenbauer?
Yes.
Personally, I would find that distasteful. Yeah, go on then.
Go on, let's have it.
That's Art Garfunkel.
Sort of like a...
What's going on? Doesn't anybody look like they used to?
I tell you, he does look...
Why have you shown us that?
Someone did it on Twitter for no apparent reason. It just looks... It suits him. Look good. All this obviously been going on. What has Boris been up to this week?
On holiday.
On holiday.
Been on holiday.
Doing a bit of painting.
Yes, that's right. He's flown to Marbella. There we are. Look at that.
Doesn't look like it's going very well, does it? That
We've even got a we've got a special exclusive glimpse of what he's working on. There we go. But yes, Boris has gone to Marbella. According to The Sun, Marbella is a popular haunt of the reality show The Only Way is Essex, which coined the phrase, no carbs before Marbs.
But he hasn't gone to the Essexy bit of it, really, has he? He's gone to stay in a villa owned by Lord Zach Goldsmith.
That's right, yes.
As you do. I mean, one of the things you've got to remember about holidays nowadays is you tend to take them in the villas of people you've made lords. And there's nothing odd or strange about that. I'm just saying that for balance.
Yes, exactly.
I think the big mistake that he's made is, like, we've seen the villa and how nice it is, because I think most people accept it's a stressful job. You've got to go away on holiday. And then I saw the place. I was like, absolutely not. I'm not having that. I think I now want to see a photo of him in a 3-hour queue for the Lego Ninjago ride, you know?
In other news, why did Dominic Raab lose his rag this week?
was the misogyny thing this week? No, that was last week.
That was
No,
last
that
week,
was
yeah.
last week. That was last week.
Extraordinary, wasn't it?
A minister told The Guardian that whilst at the conference, 2 people addressed him as Deputy Prime Minister and he bit their ear off because he thought they were taking the piss out.
I bet the 2 people were Priti Patel and Michael Gove.
Yeah. Who unbelievably got a new job this week?
Matt Hancock.
Absolutely right, yes. Described by Tom Tugendhat as a fascinating choice. After being given the job by the UN, helping African countries after COVID, Matt Hancock said, "We share a view of Africa as a strategic long-term partner." Hasn't got a great record with long-term partners. Finally, would you like to see Matt Hancock with the hair of Graham Souness?
Yes.
This is the Commons report into the government's handling of the pandemic. Boris Johnson has been criticised for going on holiday this week. The Spanish police said, "We have been made aware that the British Prime Minister is staying, so we are being extra vigilant." You have to get up pretty early in the afternoon to get one over the Spanish police. In a first step towards resurrecting his career, Matt Hancock has been appointed UN Special Representative for Economic and Social Recovery in Africa. If there's one thing we do know about Matt Hancock at work, he will be very hands-on. So at the end of that round, it is 2 points each. And so to round two.
Round two.
Yes, the one-armed bandit of news.
Hooray!
So, fingers on buzzers team. Here is, thank you very much. Mishal, was that you?
No, it was me. You said fingers on buzzer, so I did it.
Fair enough. Fingers on buzzers. Fingers above buzzers, just above buzzers. Here's your first one. Yes, Paul and Mishal.
William Shatner has gone into space, or technically space, I think, because he's going above the Earth's atmosphere. At the age of 90, he's gone up for 10 minutes, and he's the oldest person to ever do this, and he's very happy, and he was quite emotional when he came down.
Absolutely right, yes. Who did Shatner overtake to become the oldest person in space?
Yoda.
He overtook 82-year-old Wally Funk, who made the same trip back in July.
Is this the new policy for social care, which is just firing 90-year-olds into outer space? Is this
Here is how the Australians covered one of the test launches.
Rockets everywhere this morning, while outdoing his fellow billionaires in the race to space. Amazon boss Jeff Bezos will blast into orbit next month.
You know what they call that?
A rocket.
They call it Blue Origin. Does that look a little odd to you? Joining us now for more is US correspondent Alison Petrowski-Alley. The Bezos flight will officially kick off the company's space tourism business.
Yeah.
They're very professional, aren't they?
Yes.
My problem with William Shatner now is that he's ruined it for all of us, because he's literally raised the bar for what you do after appearing on this programme into the stratosphere.
Yes.
He did one other thing first, though, which was get us a writ for libel.
He said Ilfracombe was riddled with prostitution, which it isn't.
So he was never
You've actually got to look quite hard.
That inaugural flight with Wally Funk, Jeff Bezos was also on that flight. How did 18-year-old Oliver Damon, who was due to jet off on the second launch, get bumped up to the first flight?
How did he?
Yeah, he got bumped up.
he said it was his honeymoon. Sometimes works, doesn't it?
He was upgraded because the original $28 million bidder decided he couldn't go due to scheduling conflicts. What else do you think he had on? What was worrying Shatner most about his space flight before taking off on Wednesday?
Well, I think he said something like it was 11 minutes, which is quite a long time for someone his age.
Yes. Yes, he did.
His primary concern wasn't the 5.5 G-force, nor travelling at 3 times the speed of sound, but instead getting in and out of his seat. And what was the cause of the day-long delay in the flight taking off?
There was winds.
Absolutely right, yeah.
High winds, and everyone got very scared.
Yes, the 4-person
Except-
crew going in space
except
delayed because of wind. Anyone like
Thank you for showing us the word wind. I was confused by what that meant. We get treated like idiots on this show.
Would you like to see a clip of the rocket taking off?
Yes, only if it's got a caption saying rocket taken off underneath it.
Don't worry, it will.
5, 4, command engine start. 2, 1.
Very clean, isn't it? I mean, you know, just ignition on and off they go. What did Jeff Bezos make Shatner do after he landed?
Make an Amazon delivery?
No, it's rather he made him cry.
Oh, yes.
He made him cry. Yeah.
Why?
He was
What,
overwhelmed.
increase his hours and cut down his pay?
No, I think he was just really overwhelmed. Here is Shatner post-flight.
It's just, there is Mother and Earth and comfort, and is there death? I don't know. Is that death? Is that the way death is? Whoop, and it's gone.
This is why actors don't write their own script.
Someone wasn't very happy with William Shatner's big day out.
Billy Bremner.
No, it's Prince William.
Who?
Prince William.
Prince William?
Yeah, he wasn't happy.
Oh, yeah, I read this story. Did you read this?
Yeah, not so much with William Shatner, with
No.
Bezos and his ilk.
And his ilk.
For
He's
what?
taken an elk up
Wanting
there.
to...
How much room is aboard this ship?
Speaking of getting away and having a break from it all, how did two men from the Solomon Islands take an unexpected trip recently?
Did they fall asleep in a canoe?
Sailors Levi Nanjikana and Junior Kualoni spent 29 days lost at sea after their GPS tracker stopped working. Asked about the terrifying experience, they said, "Oh, it's a nice break from everything." In other news, what did Turkish man Beyan Mutlu end up doing on a drunken night out recently?
Oh, this was fantastic. He went out drinking with his mates, got quite drunk, and didn't make it home and fell asleep. And the next day, his mates were wondering, where is he? He's not at home. They phoned home, he wasn't there. And he'd fallen asleep in the woods. And what woke him up was a search party looking for him. So he joined the search party that was looking for him in the woods. Trouble was, they auditioned identikit picture, but he looked like Alan Pardew, so for years...
Well, this is the news that William Shatner has boldly gone up beyond the Kármán line that marks the edge of space. Exhilarated by his flight into space, Shatner said, "To see the blue colour whip by you, then staring into blackness. Everybody needs to see this." Well, I find you can get much the same effect by taunting Chelsea fans in a pub. Astronauts are fitted with nappies so they can go to the toilet while they work. An idea Jeff Bezos is keen to roll out across his Amazon warehouses. Fingers just above your buzzers. Here's your next one.
People have been recreating very famous pictures inside a microchip.
Yeah, this is the news that micro artist David A. Linden has created works of art small enough to fit into the eye of a needle.
Oh, yeah.
That have sold for £15,000 each. His pieces are recreations of famous artworks, including Van Gogh's Sunflowers. There we are. And
Wow.
Look at that context there.
How does he manage to do that? Is he tiny himself?
It takes
Is
him...
he like sort of 2 inches tall?
They take him months to complete. What complicates the process for David?
Because it's small!
Yeah. He's got a 5-inch brush.
He says being alive is the problem. David wrote on his website, "My hands still jump a little as my heart beats. So I work in a rhythm between each pulse."
Blimey.
And because of the intricacy of the paintings, David can only work at night, as during the day the vibration of passing cars interfere with his strokes. Finishing the art is fantastic, he added, but I don't really enjoy it.
Not much of a gallery experience, is it?
In another design feat, what is unique about this house?
Oh, I bet it revolves. I can see a sort of motor there.
Yes.
Does it revolve round?
Exactly
Spins?
right, yes. It's a rotating house. It was built by Bosnian Vojan Kuskic, and it rotates 360 degrees, giving an uninterrupted view of the landscape. It can complete a rotation in 22 seconds. Why did Vojan build a rotating house, do you think?
He was drunk.
No, it was after numerous renovations. He said he'd had enough of his wife changing her mind about the layout of the house. Adding, now our front door also rotates. So if she spots unwanted guests heading our way, she can spin the house, make them turn away. Yes, this is the work of micro-artist David A. Linden, who is regarded as one of the best micro-artists in the world, along with Graham Short. who does have an unfair natural advantage. Some say his micro depiction of Van Gogh's sunflowers is a masterpiece, but I can't see it myself. Fingers on buzzers, teams.
Insulate Britain, who are making people very angry by carrying on sitting in the roads even after the new legal powers came in, and motorists have been getting out of their cars and trying to drag them off.
That is right. And what's the latest from Insulate Britain?
They've called off their protests for 11 days.
That's exactly right, yes. They've paused their reign of chaos after 5 weeks of causing blockages on roads around the M25. Here they are in action earlier this week.
It's like whack-a-mole.
What are Insulate Britain's demands?
To insulate Britain.
It is weird that there's this tension between they're doing some quite radical stuff, you know, they're like a militant group. And you're like, what are your demands? They're like, double glazing. Insulation in roofs.
What do we want? Lagging. When do we want it? Now.
But isn't that incredibly British?
Yeah.
You've got to hold those people on the motorway saying you've got to sort your loft out.
How are they going to gain sort of public sympathy?
Well, I think going on the Today programme and admitting that you haven't insulated your own loft,
That's
that
right.
wasn't good, was it?
Yes, that was Liam Norton, sort of the poster boy for Insulate Britain. He admitted his own home isn't insulated. Also, Cathy Eastburn, another activist, has previously promised to unleash hell on Britain's roads. What else did we learn about her this week?
That her husband looks after roads for Transport for London.
That's right, her partner, Ben Cloud.
That must be an interesting household, mustn't it?
Would anyone like to guess how the Sun described the activists?
Crusties, soap dodgers, furlough freaks. I'm just running through my own repertoire here.
Helpfully, they put together a little diagram showing us what is inside the head of Insulate Britain. Very useful. Prince Charles is doing something for the environment. What's he doing?
What's his car running on? Something really...
This is great.
Wine and
His
whey.
car runs on cheese and surplus wine. Why would anyone ever have surplus wine? He revealed this in an interview with the BBC journalist Justin Rowlett, who'd been given exclusive access to his autumn garden. Here he is trying to help himself to some of Charles's fruits.
Are these the edible ones?
No, yeah. But the extraordinary thing is none of the birds eat them.
But they are
But there are
really...
different varieties of them. I wouldn't... No, that was all right.
Oh, he's going to regret that.
How low is BBC pay now?
We have to forage. Eat wherever you can.
I didn't see you touch the babies.
Yes, the royal who's had a bit of good news this week, quite surprising, is Prince Andrew.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Well, the Metropolitan Police looked at the papers and about whether to prosecute him here, and they decided not to.
That's right. They are
This
taking
is
no
relative
further
good
action.
news.
In what was reported as a secret summit between Prince Charles, Princess Anne and Prince Edward, what was decided about their brother, Andrew?
They're going to chuck him down a well.
I think they decided that Prince Andrew would never be allowed to return to royal life, and it was reported that Prince William thinks that Prince Andrew has an ungracious and ungrateful attitude towards his position.
Oh, that's definitely the worst thing about him, isn't it? So ungracious and ungrateful. God.
So at the end of that round, it is Ian and Geoff 3, Paul and Mishal 4.
No.
Time now for the odd one out round. Just one between you this week, and your 4 are Andrew Neil, London Marathon winner Cissé Lamar, the Kunsten Museum of Modern Art in Denmark, and Mr. Gox the hamster.
I don't know.
I think Andrew Neil was, for a long time, there was a show called The Andrew Neil Show, but he wasn't on it.
Yes.
He was in France. I reckon there's Kunston means art, and I reckon maybe there isn't any art in there. That hamster is a fraud. He is not investing your money safely. I think he is probably quite reckless and promising maybe 7-8%, which I think at the moment is unrealistic. So I would be in favour of arresting the hamster.
OK. I'm going to tell you, OK, they've all lost money apart from the hamster, Mr. Gox, who's been making money hand over fist. He's already made 20% since June.
He's done what?
Doing investments based on what he selects with his
I
wheel.
told you he was making over 8%, and that is...
Yeah. he basically invests... Mr. Gox is an investment mechanism. We can see him at work. Here we go. Look, we have his wheel. He goes around his wheel. This selects which currency, which of the cryptocurrencies he's going to invest in. Oh, look, there's buy and sell and some cucumber. There, he's in sell.
God, this is how Jacob Rees-Mogg works.
So that's how he... And he started in June, and he has already set up his original investment then. He's made 20% on that since. Here's his performance against some of his human rivals. Look at that. Andrew Neil lost money. He turned down an offer from Rupert Murdoch to be a presenter on his new TV News UK channel.
Yes.
How did Andrew describe his time at GB News?
Dunno, you couldn't hear it or see it.
He told the Daily Mail it was worse than being on an IRA hit list. Mishal, were you ever worried about GB News? Do you ever think this could be dangerous?
I always thought it was a risky thing for them to be doing.
Your colleagues who went to join GB News, did you think that's ill-advised?
Brave decision.
Brave decision.
In a further embarrassment to the channel, newsreaders were often pranked into reading out fake viewer names, such as Mike Oxlong and Hugh Janus. Which led to Simon McCoy getting a little bit peeved. Here he is.
I'm just going to say something because if you've seen the papers, if you've seen Twitter, some people think it's really funny to send in texts and messages that, on the basis that if we read them out, you know, we've been had. You're still doing it, and I'm watching them, and it doesn't help anybody, you know.
We're just not going to read surnames from now on.
Well, to the person who's just messaged, grow up. You know, we're a new company, we're a new broadcaster, there are systems that we're putting in place that would stop idiots like you getting through. They're getting through at the moment, but please, you know, we've got other things to worry about.
Come on now.
Mind you, if you can hear us, that's an improvement.
Looks like they're outside one of those airport restaurants.
Yeah. Yes, what else did we learn about Andrew Neil this week? Well, he told the Financial Times in an interview, I am an expert in Italian rap music. Best rap music there is. Who'd like to see Andrew showing off his rap skills?
Yeah.
Yes.
Here we are.
We're using the medium of rap so that we can map a world that is hard to explain of Brexit or leave and remain a parliament of pain. Patilla's wittering again. Yeah, we gotta take it easy with our sister Stella Creasy. And without further ado, we'll give you thoughts to chew of young and old and new, and what happens to our nation with the gap from generation to generation. So far, your late night delight. Here's the spotlight. It's tippity top. Mic drop. You're the man.
I used to love watching that show. I used to go out on a Thursday night, so I'd go back after recording this and watch that because they'd do anything because they were sure in the knowledge that nobody was watching.
So the runner, Cici Lamar.
Yes.
Do we know how he lost money?
He won the London Marathon.
He did, yes.
And then he stopped to talk to the crowd or wave or say hello.
Right, he waved to the crowd. It's exactly right.
So he didn't get his record.
Yeah.
Oh.
I know, it slowed him down. He waved
nice
to the
of him.
crowd, meaning he missed out on a bonus if he'd finished in under 2 hours, 4 minutes. And he missed it by 2 seconds, which is what...
I didn't know.
So what would he have got?
$25,000.
Oh.
And then Cissie's day went from bad to worse. Because after he finished, he was immediately whisked away by handlers over fears he could infect his fellow medal holders with COVID-19 if given access to the podium, because a fellow member of the Ethiopian team had tested positive. So instead, his agent, Gianni Demadonna had to accept the award on his behalf. Here's Jenny having the best time ever. And then the
Did the other runners know that he had COVID or might have been exposed to COVID, hence they were staying away from him? You go first, go on.
Yes, the Kunsten Museum of Modern Art in Aalborg in Denmark, that lost money recently because they lent artist Jens Hanning £65,000 to create an artwork for them. It was intended to be displayed as piles of cash in frames to represent the average national salary in Denmark and Austria, but Hanning instead sent them this. Hanning called the piece "Take the Money and Run." He told the press, "The work is that I have taken their money." Bad news for Jens Hanning is the gallery has now commissioned a new work called Artist with Broken Legs by Frankie the Knuckles. Which other artist has been having a bad time recently? This is Gavin Turk, who's been selling sealed cans of his own urine at £200 each, but he still has 230 cans that remain unsold. Here is the artist and his well, his piss, that's what it says.
Is that life size?
It's getting very confusing, the size of artwork and the size of artists.
Is that the guy that's painting the tiny paintings of Van Gogh?
Yeah.
Time now for the Missing Words round, which this week features as its guest publication the Stratford-upon-Avon Canal Society newsletter. And we start with Vladimir Putin celebrates 69th birthday by what?
Oh, I know this. He arrested 69 dissidents. It was a lovely gesture.
Playing past the Novichok?
Is this about the bear?
Yes.
Yeah, he posed a very random picture of him with a grizzly bear.
That's right. He released a photo of him with a bear. Here is the image posted by the Kremlin's Twitter account. Well, I wasn't expecting that twist in Paddington 3.
Is that real?
Wow.
That looks like a John Lewis advert, doesn't it?
Next, Andrew Lloyd Webber hated what so much he bought himself what?
Is it I can only think of... He hated the film of
Oh, the Cats
didn't he?
film.
But what would he have bought?
He bought himself a dog.
That's absolutely true. He hated the Cats movie so much, he bought himself a dog. Andrew Lloyd Webber has revealed that the movie version of his musical Cats caused him so much distress he bought himself a therapy dog. The new puppy is very affectionate, but still can't quite bring himself to lick Andrew Lloyd Webber's face. Next, mystery weirdo ringing doorbell late at night turns out to be what?
Tortoise with a stepladder. Eamon Holmes. Is it Eamon Holmes?
It's not Eamon.
Not Eamon Holmes.
No.
Is it Keir Starmer?
You were on the right line with the animal.
With the animal? Tortoise. Was I close with tortoise?
Yeah, quite close.
What's close to a tortoise? A slug.
Terrapin. That's exactly right, it's a slug. Mystery weirdo ringing doorbell late at night turns out to be a slug. A woman who was awoken by a mysterious caller ringing her doorbell late at night checked doorbell footage to find this slippery caller.
Oh, Lord. That's my word.
Ooh.
The slug repeatedly rang the woman's doorbell in the evening, and in the end, she gave up and agreed to buy a set of 3 overpriced tea towels. Next, world's largest version of what scaring visitors in Wales?
Is it Van Gogh painting?
No, world's largest version of a composer, in fact. It's Beethoven's head. Here is the head.
That's Andrew Lloyd Webber.
The sculpture of Beethoven did not impress Culture Secretary Nadine Dorries, who complained it looked nothing like the dog in the film. Next, Stratford-upon-Avon Canal Society have heard unsubstantiated rumours that... what?
William Shakespeare's dead.
Most people only joined because somebody had removed the C in canal.
Is it rumours that the railways have been invented and may well take a lot of their trade?
The answer is unsubstantiated rumours that boaters have been discouraged from winding in allocated winding holes. Next, due to an error, the front cover of issue 390 featured what instead of what?
River instead of a canal?
Yes.
It's scandalous in the canal world, if you do that.
It was.
Yeah.
Due to an error, the front cover of issue 390 featured Bridge 38 just below Lock 23 instead of Bridge 34 and Lock 52.
Classic.
Bit of a howler. Next, woman digs out wedding video for 30th anniversary only to discover what?
Husband left 29 years ago.
It's a wedding video. You know somebody's taped over it, haven't they? You know, the bailiffs are coming.
Is it husband?
John says it's not his Labrador, and he's got the receipt to prove it.
That's exactly... I'm going to give you that.
It's exactly right.
Yep. Her husband had taped over it with a police show. Here is the special moment with a bit of wedding beforehand. Even more annoying, the tape ran out before the end of Cops. And finally, UK prisoners are allowed to play in what tournament?
Who wants to be an HGV driver? Plausible, isn't it?
Motor rally. Pole vaulting.
No.
How many can you get in a cell?
Chess.
Chess. Yes, global chess tournament. That's right. Prisoners in England have been given permission to play competitive chess in an international tournament for the first time. The British prison chess team will be facing a 4-man American prison team. Well, 3 if the last-minute appeal fails. So the final scores are... Ian and Geoff have 4, but Paul and Mishal have 10.
That's weird.
Yeah. It's time for the caption competition.
Auditions held for new team captains on Have I Got News for You. That's how we got the job in the first place. I don't know what the crime was, but it's a hell of an identity parade.
And I leave you with news that, after his brief flight into space, William Shatner returns to Earth with only minor side effects. To mark Angela Merkel's stepping down after 16 years as German Chancellor, the Christian Democrats throw a wild party. And there's an awkward moment at Chester's Zoo as one of the animals notices that a visitor has sat on a Werther's original. Good night.